I never expected that one sentence, "You're too dramatic for a classy event," would be the beginning of everything falling apart. My name is Avery Collins, 27 years old, living in a small coastal town in Oregon. I worked as a freelance photographer, mostly weddings, engagements, and the occasional magazine spread. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. I was proud of what I had built from nothing, but there was one thing I had never managed to build: a place inside my own family. Growing up, I was the emotional child, the sensitive one, the kid who cried at movies and wrote poems in the margins of textbooks. My family, practical, stoic, image-focused, never understood me. They didn't try to. Over time, I learned to live with the quiet ache of being tolerated rather than loved. Still, I never imagined they would go this far. The invitation that never came. It started on a rainy Tuesday morning. My phone buzzed during a photo editing session. It was my sister, Sabrina. "Sabrina, hey, small update," Mom said. "We should keep the wedding stuff off the family chat so you don't feel bad." Me. Wedding stuff? What wedding stuff? Sabrina. Oh, I thought they told you. A cold pulse went through my chest. Within minutes, the truth came out. My entire family, every aunt, uncle, cousin, sibling, had been invited to my cousin Emily's destination wedding. Except me. I wasn't even an afterthought. I was excluded. I confronted my mom in a trembling voice call. Me. Why didn't anyone tell me? Why am I the only one not invited? Mom. Long sigh. Avery. Sweetheart. Emily wants a very classy wedding. And you can be a little dramatic. You understand. Me. No, I don't. Mom. We don't want any emotional scenes. We just want peace. You take things too personally, and this isn't about you. My heart cracked, slowly, like thin glass under pressure. Then she added, "Just let this go, Avery. Don't make it bigger than it is." And for the first time in my life, I answered calmly instead of crying. "I wish them the best." Those words tasted like swallowing a stone. The loneliest weekend. While they flew to Hawaii for the wedding, my house sat dark and silent. Every social media post felt like a small knife. My cousins laughing on the beach, my sister in a pastel bridesmaid dress, my mother looking happier without me than she ever did with me. I muted everything, but the silence hurt too. I cried that night silent, small tears into my pillow, but after the storm passed, something unexpected happened. Peace. A quiet, powerful kind of peace. For the first time, I realized that no matter how perfect I tried to be, my family would always find a reason to push me out. So I did something I never had the courage to do before. I took control of my own narrative. The viral ceremony that changed everything. 3 weeks later, I was hired to photograph a small, intimate wedding at a lakeside cabin. The couple, gentle, soft-spoken artists, had no guests, no decorations, just love. When the ceremony ended, they surprised me. "Avery, you're part of this now. Take a photo with us." It was the first time anyone had ever asked me that. That night, I posted the photos on my photography page with a caption. Sometimes family excludes you from their celebrations, but life has a way of giving you your own beautiful moments. I included a few self-portraits. The couple insisted I take me standing in soft light, wearing a simple white dress, holding a wildflower bouquet they made for me. Not a wedding dress, more like a symbol of being included. Finally, somewhere, I went to sleep without thinking much of it. The next morning, my phone was exploding. 4.2 million views. By the end of the week, 17.5 million views. People from everywhere were commenting, "Your family doesn't deserve you. This looks like a healing ceremony. You created what they refused to give you your own place." I didn't post it for attention. I posted it to breathe. But suddenly, I had a voice. Panic in the family group chat. My mother called first. "Mom, Avery, why is the internet saying you had a wedding? People are messaging me. This is embarrassing." Me. I didn't say I got married. I just posted photos. "Mom, your cousin Emily thinks you did this to upstage her." Me. She excluded me from her wedding. "Mom, that's not the point. You're making us look like bad people." I felt something inside me shift. For the first time, I wasn't scared of her disappointment. For the first time, I spoke the truth. "Me. I didn't make you look bad. You made choices, and the world saw the consequences." There was a long, stunned silence on the line. Then she whispered, "Avery, is this who you've become?" And I answered, "No, Mom. This is who I've always been. You just never looked long enough to see me." She hung up. The calm before the storm. My siblings messaged me privately. "Why did you post that? It's causing drama. Just delete it so Mom stops freaking out. You know how emotional you are." I realized then that no matter what, I did cry. Stay silent, speak calmly, they would always call me dramatic. So I stopped trying to fit into the space they carved for me. I stepped out, and that's when everything, absolutely everything, began to spiral. Into a storm I never saw coming. A storm that would end with a truth so painful, so heavy, it would change the rest of my life. Online attention didn't fade, it grew. Every hour, thousands shared my post. People sent messages telling their own stories of being excluded by family. Children ignored, siblings overlooked, mothers abandoned, daughters treated like burdens. It was beautiful, it was heartbreaking, and it was bigger than me. But with every share, every like, every comment, the silence in my own house grew heavier. A kind of silence that hummed with impending fallout, the phone that wouldn't stop ringing. By the third day, I stopped answering unknown numbers. News outlets wanted the girl who healed from family rejection through art. Podcasters asked for interviews. A few wedding magazines even offered a feature on my photography. But the calls I dreaded most were from my family. They came one after another. My Aunt Linda. "Why are you airing private family business to the world?" My Uncle Mark. "Your mother is distraught. Take that post down." My sister Sabrina. "You're blowing everything out of proportion, as usual." Every message was the same. "Fix this. Undo this. Make us comfortable again." Not one person said, "Avery, are you okay?" Not one asked how it felt being excluded in the first place. Their outrage wasn't about my pain. It was about their image. A visit I didn't expect. On Friday morning, as mist rolled in from the coast, someone knocked on my door. It was my father, a man of few words, a man who rarely showed emotion, a man who had never once in my childhood hugged me without being asked. He stood on my porch with tired eyes and a soft, hesitant expression I had never seen on him. "Dad. Can we talk, kiddo?" Me, quietly. "Sure." He stepped inside, looked around my small living room, then sat stiffly at the edge of the couch, as if afraid to sink into it. For a moment, we just existed in the same breath. Then he began. "Dad, your mom, she's not handling the attention well." Me, "She's not the only one hurting." "Dad, I know." He rubbed his temples. "Dad, I'm not good with words. I never have been. Your mom handles the emotional stuff." Me, "She doesn't, actually." That stopped him. He looked at me as if really seeing me for the first time. The first honest conversation of my life. Dad let out a long exhale. "Dad, Avery, your whole life, you felt like the odd one out. I saw it. But your mom, she thought tough love would make you stronger." Me, "It made me invisible." Dad, maybe we got it wrong." Those words hit deeper than he knew. Then he added, voice trembling slightly, "Dad, when you posted those photos, at first I was angry. I thought you were trying to embarrass the family. But then I saw the comments. I saw how people reacted. And I realized, we don't know you, Avery. We never tried to." My throat tightened. "Dad, but your post made your mom panic. She thinks she's losing you." Me, "She already lost me, long before this." Dad closed his eyes. "Dad, please, talk to her. She's not well." I paused. Me, "Not well. How?" My father hesitated too long. "Dad, she's been having dizzy spells, chest pains, stress maybe, or guilt." Me, "Did she see a doctor?" Dad, "She refuses. She says she's fine." A quiet fear curled into my stomach. I didn't want to care. I shouldn't have cared. But the truth was simple. She was still my mother, and I still loved her, even after everything, facing the storm. That evening, I drove to my parents' house. The air felt heavy, as if the sky itself was holding its breath. When I stepped inside, my mother stood in the doorway, smaller than I remembered, her shoulders trembling with emotion she tried to hide. "Mom, you shouldn't have come." Me, "Dad said you weren't well." Mom, "Your father worries too much." Her voice cracked at the edges. She turned away, pressing a hand to her chest as if steadying herself. Me, "Mom, we need to talk." Mom, there's nothing to discuss. I moved closer, gently. Me. You excluded me from a family event. That hurt me. Her eyes flashed not with anger but with something like fear. Mom, I was trying to protect you. Me. From what? Mom, from embarrassing yourself, from being judged, from making everything about your emotions. That struck a nerve. Me. You think my emotions are a flaw? Mom, yes. Silence fell between us like shattered glass. For years, I had swallowed tears to make her proud. For years, I had dimmed parts of myself to fit the frame she built for me. No more. Me. My emotions are not a burden. They're a part of me, and you never tried to understand that. My mother trembled. Mom, I didn't want you to end up weak. Me. Being honest about your feelings isn't weakness. Mom, it is in this family. Her voice broke completely. The collapse. As she spoke, she swayed just slightly before clutching the edge of the table. Me. Mom? I'm fine. Just dizzy. She didn't finish the sentence. Her knees buckled, her body folded, and she collapsed into my arms. I screamed for my father. We called 911. The minutes stretched into a blur of sirens. Paramedics, cold air, flashing lights. Her hand was cold when I held it in the ambulance. For the first time in my life, she didn't pull away. At the hospital, hours later, after tests and hushed conversations with doctors, my father and I sat in the sterile waiting room, fluorescent lights humming above us. The doctor finally approached. Doctor, she has significant cardiac stress. Not a heart attack, but she came close. My father covered his face with shaking hands. The doctor continued. Doctor, she'll need monitoring, and she needs to avoid emotional triggers. His words echoed in my head. Emotional triggers, like conflict, like guilt, like the truth. My father whispered, Dad, Avery, she needs you. And that was the moment I felt it. A soft, painful fracture in my chest. Because despite everything she had done, despite years of being dismissed, blamed, and silenced, a part of me still wanted to save her. But another part whispered, Who's going to save you, Avery? The internet turns the story into a firestorm. While my mother lay in a hospital bed, the online attention intensified. People demanded an update. Reporters camped outside my photography studio. My viral post was now being discussed on morning talk shows. Some supported me. Others accused me of creating the situation for fame. A few tracked down my family members and sent them messages. The story was out of my control. And my family blamed me for the consequences. My sister texted, Mom collapsed because of the stress you caused. My aunt wrote, You and your dramatic emotions almost killed her. My world, which had briefly felt full of connection and hope, began to tighten again like a noose. A line no one should cross. Late that night, my father came home from the hospital and called me. Dad, Avery, your post. You need to take it down. For your mom. Me. Dad, I didn't do anything wrong. Dad, it doesn't matter. She believes you did, and her heart can't handle more stress. His voice broke. Dad, please, do it for her. And that was when the deepest question surfaced within me. What happens when saving someone means erasing yourself? The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and faint lavender from a cheap diffuser someone must have plugged in earlier. My mother lay on the bed with an oxygen tube resting gently under her nose, her skin pale against the crisp white sheets. I sat beside her, watching the slow rise and fall of her chest, wondering why real love always felt heavier when wrapped in pain. She opened her eyes. Mom, Avery, you're here. Me, of course I'm here. Mom, even after everything? Her voice was fragile, almost childlike. Me. Yes. She nodded weakly, eyes glistening. Mom, I didn't want to hurt you. I just wanted order, peace, a family that looks perfect. Me, I never asked for perfect. Mom, I know. But I did. She took my hand, something she almost never did. Mom, please take the post down, Avery. My heart can't handle the stress. I felt the words like a blade slicing between responsibility and autonomy. She wasn't asking for reconciliation. She wasn't asking for understanding. She was asking me to erase my truth to preserve her comfort, the world outside the hospital. When I stepped out to the hallway, my phone buzzed nonstop. Notifications, mentions, requests for interviews, and a message from a well-known talk show inviting me to speak about family exclusion. As I scrolled, one comment stood out. Avery didn't create the problem, she revealed it. Another, silence is how dysfunctional families stay alive. And then the one that broke me a little. Your mother loves the version of you that doesn't inconvenience her. I turned off my phone. For a moment, I just leaned against the cold wall and let myself feel everything. Grief, love, anger, confusion, and something deeper. A sense that whatever I chose next would change my life forever. Backlash in the waiting room. When I returned to the waiting area, my sister Sabrina was waiting with folded arms and fire behind her eyes. Sabrina, finally, I've been looking everywhere for you. Me, I needed air. Sabrina. Well, Mom needs you to take that stupid post down. I closed my eyes. Me, it wasn't stupid. It was honest. Sabrina, your honesty almost killed her. People in the waiting room glanced over. Me. Sabrina, don't do this here. Sabrina, why not? You wanted an audience, didn't you? The words hit like a slap. Me, you think I asked for any of this? Sabrina, you've always wanted attention. You made everything dramatic since we were kids. I held my breath. Me, you excluded me, all of you, and you still expect me to protect you from consequences? Sabrina, we didn't exclude you. We just didn't think you'd fit Emily's theme. A wedding theme. As if I was a piece of decor that clashed with the color palette. I felt myself breaking again, quietly, invisibly. Me, I'm tired, Sabrina. Sabrina, then delete the post. Me, I'm tired of apologizing for existing. She scoffed and walked away. And for the first time in years, I didn't chase after her. A stranger's message that changed everything. That night, while I sat beside Mom as she slept, I turned my phone on again only to find a message request from someone named Lila Hammond. I opened it out of boredom. But what I found made my breath hitch. Lila, Avery, I don't know you, but your post saved me. I thought something was wrong with me because my family treats me the same way. Seeing your story helped me leave a toxic environment. Thank you for being brave. Attached was a picture of a girl, maybe 19, standing outside a bus station with a duffel bag, wiping tears but smiling, and it hit me like a tidal wave. My post didn't just help me. It helped someone else escape the same cycle. For the first time since the chaos began, I felt purpose. A gentle, steadying kind of purpose. But that purpose came with a cost, because how could I take down something that was healing strangers, just to protect the feelings of people who never protected mine? Choice at 3 a.m. At 3 a.m. My father returned to the hospital. He sat next to me quietly, his hands clasped together. Dad, your mom is stable now. The doctors say she'll recover. Me? Good. Dad, she still wants you to delete the post. I stared at the floor. Me. Dad, does it matter to anyone how I feel? Dad, of course it does. Me. Then why does everyone only care when they hurt? Why do I always have to shrink? He swallowed hard. Dad, I don't have a good answer. We were raised to keep emotions quiet. We punished you for not fitting that mold. That wasn't fair. I looked at him, the man who rarely apologized for anything. Dad, but Avery, your mom believes the stress from that post triggered her collapse. That's her truth. Me. And my truth? Dad, it hurts her. There it was. The impossible choice. Protect myself, or protect the woman who never protected me. I felt tears burning my eyes. Me. What do you want me to do? Dad, I want you to take it down. Not because she's right, but because I'm afraid of losing her. I nodded slowly. But inside, something cracked. A crack that would never fully heal. The decision. The next morning, after a sleepless night, I walked outside to the hospital garden, dew glistening on the benches, the sky pale gold. I opened my viral post. 17.5 million views, nearly 800,000 comments. Tens of thousands of people who felt seen because of it. My mother wanted it gone. My father begged. My sister demanded. My family believed deleting it would fix everything. But deep down I knew. Deleting it wouldn't heal my mother. It would only erase the truth, my truth, and the truth of thousands who found strength because I spoke. A shaking breath escaped my lips, and I made my choice. I edited the post not to delete it, but to clarify. This story isn't meant to shame my family. It's meant to show that exclusion, even when unintentional, leaves scars. I hope this brings empathy, not blame. I disabled comments. I turned off shares. But I didn't take it down. It was the closest thing to a compromise I could survive. Yet even then, I knew. My family wouldn't see this as enough, and there would be consequences. Heavy ones. The aftermath begins. When my father saw what I did, he closed his eyes and sighed, not in anger, but in quiet grief. Dad, this will break her heart. Me, Dad, it already was broken. He didn't argue. Hours later, when my mother woke up fully, my father told her gently. I heard her voice tremble from the hallway. Mom, she chose them. She chose strangers over her family. The words hit me like 1,000 needles. Because she was wrong. So painfully wrong. I didn't choose strangers. I chose myself. For once. Just once. But to her, that was unforgivable. And I felt the ground beneath my feet shift, as if the story was beginning its descent into the inevitable heartbreak waiting at the end. I returned home after 3 days at the hospital. 3 days of tension, guilt, whispered arguments, and fractured conversations. My mother was stable, but distant. My father was exhausted. My sister refused to look at me. My house felt different now, heavier, quieter, as if the echo of everything I'd held in for years finally had space to breathe. I set my camera bag down, collapsed onto the couch, and stared at the ceiling. For the first time since I posted the photos, I felt truly alone. The letter on my doorstep. The next morning, something soft thumped against my door. I opened it to find a sealed envelope, my name written in familiar handwriting, my mother's. Inside was a letter, shaky, emotional, and so painfully honest it made my hands tremble. Asterisk, asterisk, Avery. If I said I wasn't hurt, I'd be lying. If I said I wasn't proud of you, I'd also be lying. I don't know how to love you the right way. I never did. I loved the idea of a daughter who could be quiet, composed, easy. You were none of those things. You felt too deeply, and I punished you for it. But when I saw you in that ambulance, all I wanted was one more chance to love you better. I don't know if I can be that mother. I'm scared I can't change. Your post hurt me, yes. But it also showed me the parts of myself I've avoided, the parts I buried. I don't ask you to delete it anymore. I ask you, please don't give up on me. Mom, asterisk, asterisk. I read it twice, 3 times. Tears gathered behind my eyes, blurring the ink. It was the closest thing to an apology she had ever given me. But it wasn't complete. It wasn't accountability. It wasn't change. It wasn't healing. It was simply a beginning, a fragile one, a knock that shattered the moment. Before I could even breathe in the relief of that letter, there was another knock at my door. This time, when I opened it, 2 police officers stood on my porch. My stomach dropped. Officer, Miss Avery Collins? Me. Yes? Officer. We received a report of online harassment and targeted defamation involving your family. We're here to ask some questions. My blood ran cold. Me. I didn't harass anyone. Officer, we understand this might be a misunderstanding, but multiple members of your family have made statements. We need clarification. Statements. Plural. My hands began to shake, but I stepped aside and let them in. The interrogation. At my dining table, the officers asked their questions professionally, calmly, but every question felt like a blade. Why did you post those photos? Did you intend to imply you were mistreated? Were you aware this could cause distress? Did you anticipate your followers contacting your family? Each one chipped away at my chest. Me. I never asked anyone to attack my family. I never mentioned their names. I never blamed them publicly. I only shared my feelings. The officers nodded, took notes, exchanged glances. After 30 agonizing minutes, one of them spoke gently. Officer, legally you're fine. You didn't violate any statutes. But your family is extremely upset. You might want to reach out and clear things up. I exhaled shakily. When they left, the door felt heavier than before. I sank to the floor, breathing uneven, hands pressed over my face. It wasn't enough for my family to guilt me. Now they wanted to silence me. Officially, legally, publicly. And the people who were supposed to protect me had turned me into a threat. The public backlash turns ugly. Within hours, posts began circulating online. Viral photographer accused of exploiting family for fame. Woman's viral post sparks police investigation. I didn't post anything new. I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself. But it didn't matter. The internet didn't need truth. It needed fuel. And I had become the fire. Brands that had reached out for partnerships withdrew their offers. The talk show canceled my segment due to legal concerns. Even longtime clients messaged me apologetically, saying they needed to postpone. The world that lifted me up was now pushing me off its shoulders. A phone call I didn't expect. That evening, my phone rang. My father, already exhausted, I answered anyway. Dad, Avery, what did you do? Me, Dad, I didn't do anything. Dad, the entire family is in chaos. Your aunts, your uncles, they're furious. They're saying you're trying to ruin us. Me, I told the truth. I didn't name anyone. They're the ones making it public. Dad, it doesn't matter. Damage is done. His voice wasn't angry. It was defeated. Dad, your mother heard everything. It stressed her heart again. They might have to keep her longer. And there it was, the crushing weight of blame, the unspoken accusation. This is your fault. My breath broke. Me, Dad, I don't know what else you want from me. Dad, I want peace. Me, peace at the cost of me? He didn't answer. Then, quietly, Dad, sometimes that's what family requires. The breaking point. After the call ended, I sat in the dark living room, surrounded by shadows that felt too familiar. I tried to breathe through it. I tried to swallow the pain. But something inside me snapped. Not dramatically, not loudly, softly, like a thread that had been fraying for years finally coming undone. I picked up my mother's letter again. The apology, the plea, the desperation. And I realized. She wanted me to stay, but the rest of them wanted me gone. And love shouldn't feel like choosing between survival and belonging. My phone buzzed with hate messages. Dozens every minute. People calling me a liar, attention seeker, manipulator. The internet turned. My family turned. The world turned. Only my own truth remained. And for the first time in my life, it felt like the truth was killing me. A solitude that felt too familiar. The next morning, I woke with puffy eyes and a hollow chest. I didn't eat. I didn't shower. I couldn't pick up my camera. It was as if everything inside me had gone numb. By afternoon, Sabrina sent one final text. We're having a family meeting tonight. Mom wants to see you. Be here at 7. Don't make this about you, just listen. A family meeting. The irony almost made me laugh. The family that excluded me wanted me present only when it served them. I stared at the message for a long time, my stomach turning, my hands cold. Then I typed back, I'll be there. Because even wounded animals return to familiar places when they're hurting, even when they know they might not survive it. I drove to my parents' house just before sunset, the sky bruised purple and orange, as if the world itself sensed the storm coming. My chest tightened the closer I got. Every mile felt like walking deeper into a room where all the lights suddenly turn off. When I pulled into the driveway, nearly every car from my extended family was already there. Aunt Linda, Uncle Mark, Cousin Emily the bride, even relatives I hadn't seen in years. All the people who had attended the wedding I was excluded from, now gathered to confront me. My legs felt like they were filled with sand as I walked toward the door. Before I could knock, it opened. Sabrina stood there, arms crossed. Sabrina, you're late. Me, it's 6:55. Sabrina, late enough. She turned and walked away. I stepped inside. The air felt thick, heavy, like judgment had mass. The circle of accusation. Everyone sat in the living room in a loose circle. My mother was on the couch, pale but insisting on sitting upright. My father hovered near her protectively. No one smiled. No one greeted me. The moment I walked in, the room went silent. Not the quiet kind, but the kind filled with sharp, unseen edges. My mother spoke first, voice weak. Mom, Avery, sit. I obeyed, though my body rebelled. The moment I sat, Emily, my cousin, leaned forward. Emily, why did you try to ruin my wedding? I blinked. Me, I didn't. Emily, you posted wedding-style photos during my honeymoon. Everyone kept asking if you were copying me. Me, those weren't wedding photos. I was working. Emily, but you knew how it would look. Aunt Linda jumped in. Aunt Linda, your post made our family look heartless. Uncle Mark. Uncle Mark. People online assumed we're terrible parents, terrible humans. Sabrina. Mom had a health scare because of you. I swallowed, the weight crushing. Me. I never blamed anyone. I never used names. I never said anything except how I felt. My mother's voice trembled. Mom. But you knew people would interpret it the wrong way. Me. I told the truth. That's all. My aunt stood. Aunt Linda. You've always been dramatic. Sensitive. Needy. This is just another example. My hands clenched. Me. Being emotional doesn't make me wrong. Sabrina scoffed loudly. Sabrina. There it is. The victim card. My father stepped forward. Dad. Enough. For a moment, hope flickered in my chest, until he added, Dad. Avery. Please apologize so we can end this. My stomach dropped. Apologize? For being excluded? For sharing my experience? For existing? Me. Dad. I did nothing wrong. A cold silence followed. Cousin Emily leaned closer, voice sharp. Emily. Then you deserve the online hate you're getting. The breaking words. I looked around the room, the faces of people I had forgiven 1,000 times, faces that never once forgave me, faces that never saw me as part of them, faces that now demanded my silence. And something inside me snapped, not violently, but quietly, like a candle finally burning down to nothing. I exhaled shakily. Me. I understand now. My mother frowned. Mom. Understand what? I met her eyes. Me. That I've spent my entire life begging you to love the real me. But you only love the version of me that doesn't cause problems for you. A murmur rippled through the room. I continued. Me. You didn't want a daughter. You wanted a decoration. Someone calm, silent, easy. Someone who wouldn't embarrass you. My mother's lip trembled. Mom. That's not me. It is. You excluded me from a family event because I felt too much. You called me dramatic for having emotions. You made me the villain for telling my story. And now you expect me to apologize, to comfort you, for the pain you caused. No one interrupted. They simply stared, not with empathy, but with shock that I had finally spoken the truth. Me. I'm done being small for you. The words that broke my mother. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Real ones. Not guilt, not manipulation, but something raw, something ancient. Mom. Avery. I softened. Because despite everything, she was still my mother. She reached a trembling hand toward me. Mom, please, don't leave this family. Her voice cracked deeply. But before I could respond, Sabrina burst out angrily. Sabrina, for God's sake, Mom, stop coddling her. She isn't the victim. Then she pointed at me. Sabrina, you caused all of this. Mom's collapse, the online chaos, the police showing up, everything. My mother flinched at Sabrina's tone. My father tried to intervene. Dad. Sabrina, sit down. Sabrina, no. Everyone always tiptoes around Avery. She ruins everything and still plays innocent. Tears blurred my vision. Cousin Emily chimed in. Emily, you stole attention from my wedding. Aunt Linda, you embarrassed all of us. Uncle Mark, you've always been ungrateful. The voices piled on, overlapping, a growing hurricane circling around me. My mother covered her ears, breathing hard. My father shouted for everyone to stop. But they didn't. They kept going. Blaming, pressuring, condemning. And my mother, already fragile, suddenly gasped sharply. Her hand pressed to her chest. The collapse again, Mom. Stop. Please. Her voice was barely audible. No one heard her through the shouting. Except me. Me. Mom? She swayed forward. Her breathing staggered, eyes wide with pain. Mom, Avery, help. Time slowed. I lunged toward her, but before I could reach her, her legs buckled, her body collapsing onto the carpet. Panic erupted. Screams, shouts. My father calling her name. My aunt crying. My sister frozen in shock. I cradled her head, hands trembling uncontrollably. Me. Mom, stay with me. Her lips parted. Her voice was the faintest whisper. Mom, don't leave. Family. Then her eyes rolled back. Sirens were called. Paramedics rushed in. CPR, shouting. Tears, hands pulling me away. The room spinning. and all I could see was the letter she wrote, the apology that came too late, the ride to the hospital. I rode in the ambulance, holding her cold hand. Her pulse was weak, thready. Monitors beeped in frantic rhythm. Paramedics worked quickly, voices urgent. Possible cardiac arrest, increasing pressure. Stay with us, ma'am. My mother didn't speak again. But once, just once, her fingers curled slightly around mine, as if saying goodbye, without using words. Silent hallways. The hospital swallowed us again. Bright lights, frantic nurses, rushing stretchers. My father paced, broken. Sabrina sobbed uncontrollably. Emily stared at the wall, pale. Aunts and uncles prayed softly. I sat alone in a plastic chair, trembling, the weight of everything pressed down on me. My post, my truth, my family's hatred, my mother collapsing in my arms. And for the first time in my life, I didn't know if speaking my truth had saved me or destroyed everything I loved. The hospital waiting room felt colder this time, maybe because everyone knew, deep down, that this wasn't like the first collapse. This one felt final, heavier, more irreversible. The doctor entered after what felt like hours. He wasn't smiling. He didn't need to speak. His eyes said everything. Still, he did. Doctor, we did everything we could. I'm very sorry. Your mother's heart simply couldn't recover. A sound escaped my father, a deep, guttural ache. I had never heard from him in my entire life. Sabrina's knees buckled. Emily gasped. My aunts cried loudly into tissues. But me? I went silent. A silence so deep it echoed inside my skull. My mother was gone, just like that. And the last words she said weren't, "I love you." They were, "Don't leave family." Words filled with fear, regret, desperation, but no understanding, no true reconciliation. Just the final plea of a woman who never learned how to love out loud, the blame that arrived before the tears dried. It didn't take long. Minutes, maybe even seconds. Sabrina was the first to turn on me, tears still streaking down her face, voice shaking with grief and rage. "Sabrina, this is your fault." I didn't respond. I couldn't. She stepped closer, pointing a trembling finger at me. "Sabrina, if you hadn't posted that stupid thing, if you hadn't caused all this drama, Mom would still be alive." My father didn't correct her. He didn't defend me. He didn't defend anyone. He just held his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. My aunts whispered. My uncle stared at me as if I were a stranger. Cousin Emily looked at me, not angry, but afraid, as if grief had created a monster in the room. And they all decided that monster was me, Aunt Linda. The stress killed her. "Uncle Mark, you should have deleted that post. Sabrina, you wanted attention. Well, now you have it." Every word was a blade, and I had no shield left. The quiet funeral. My mother's funeral was held a week later on a cold morning with low, gray clouds pressing close to the earth. I stood apart from everyone else, not because I wanted to, but because no one stepped toward me. Not one hug, not one gentle word, not one acknowledgement of my grief. I wasn't just excluded now. I was exiled. During the service, the pastor spoke about family unity, unconditional love, the importance of staying close. Every sentence felt like a cruel joke. My mother's casket was a soft pearl color, her favorite. Her hands were folded neatly on her chest, as if she were simply sleeping. I wanted to cry. God, I wanted to cry. But the tears were stuck somewhere deep behind shock, behind guilt, behind a lifetime of being told my emotions were too dramatic. So I stood there, frozen. At the end of the service, when everyone approached the casket to say their goodbye, I waited until the very end. When I finally stepped forward, my father was still there. He didn't look at me, just whispered, "Dad, she loved you, in her own way." I swallowed, hard. Me. I loved her too, in mine. He nodded barely, but then he added, "Dad, I need time, Avery, a lot of it." It was the gentlest way to say, "I can't look at you right now." And it broke something inside me that would never fully heal. The post I deleted too late. The night after the funeral, I sat alone on my bed, my phone dimly lighting the room. I opened my viral post again, the photo of me in soft light, the caption about being excluded. Millions of views, thousands of stories from strangers who related, dozens of people saying the post helped them, but none of that mattered now. Not when my family saw it as the match that lit the fire. My finger hovered over the delete button. For the first time, I didn't think about truth, or identity, or healing. I just thought about my mother, her letter, her last whisper, her fading grip on my hand in the ambulance. I pressed delete. The post vanished, like it had never existed, like the pain that birthed it had been swallowed whole by silence. But the consequences, those remained. The days that followed, days stretched into weeks, weeks into months. Grief settled into my bones like winter frost that never melted. My photography business crumbled quietly. Clients canceled. Online hate resurfaced. People whispered that I caused my mother's death. I stopped going to family gatherings, stopped answering messages, stopped leaving the house except for groceries. I took down my website for a while, turned comments off everywhere, deleted old projects. My camera collected dust. The thing that once gave me purpose now felt like a reminder of everything I lost. The letter I couldn't send, I wrote a letter to my mother. Dozens of drafts, some angry, some gentle, some full of pain I never spoke, some full of love I never received. But I kept tearing them up because none of them felt right. How do you say goodbye to someone who never fully let you in? How do you mourn a relationship that was half love, half wound? How do you breathe when guilt and grief wrap around the same place in your chest? A visit from my father. Months passed before my father finally knocked on my door. I opened it cautiously. He looked older, hair grayer, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow. He stepped inside wordlessly, holding a small box. He placed it on my table. "Dad, these are hers." Inside were one of her bracelets, a faded photo of us when I was 5, a cookbook she always used, and the letter she wrote me before she died. The original, not the copy she'd left at my door. My father sat heavily on the couch. "Dad, Avery, I don't blame you." I swallowed hard. Me, but everyone else does. "Dad, people grieve by finding somewhere to put the pain. Sometimes they put it in the wrong place." His voice cracked. "Dad, your mother loved you. She was afraid of your emotions because she didn't know how to handle her own." I looked at him. This man who was always quiet, closed off. He continued, "Dad, I'm sorry for not protecting you. From them, from her, from us." That apology, that small, broken apology, was something I had wanted my entire life. I cried then. For the first time since the funeral, I cried. My father held me. Awkwardly, stiffly, but he held me. The final goodbye. Later that night, after he left, I took my camera untouched for months and drove to the cliffs overlooking the ocean. The sky was glowing with late evening gold. Waves crashed below, steady and relentless. I placed my mother's bracelet on my wrist, opened her letter one last time, ran my fingers over her handwriting. Then I set up my camera. I took a single photo, the ocean behind me, the wind lifting my hair, my face raw with emotion. No filters, no poses, no performance. Just grief, just truth, just me. A daughter who loved a mother imperfectly, a mother who loved a daughter incompletely. A family broken by silence long before the world found out. I didn't post the photo anywhere. I kept it for myself. Proof that I survived, a quiet kind of healing. Time didn't fix everything. My family remained distant. Some relationships never recovered. Some wounds stayed tender. But I learned something important. Speaking your truth is expensive, but silencing it costs your soul. I picked up my camera again. Slowly, gently, carefully. Not for attention, not for validation, not for escape, but for healing. For honoring the girl who was always too dramatic. For honoring the woman who learned that feeling deeply wasn't a curse. For honoring the mother who tried, even when she couldn't. For honoring the truth. The truth that families can love you and still hurt you. That grief can be love with nowhere to go. That sometimes, healing begins after the goodbye. 1 year later, the ocean still sounded the same. Steady, endless, unbothered by the storms that passed above it. I stood at the same cliff where I had taken that final photo months ago. The photo I never shared. The one that captured me exactly as I was. Broken, but not destroyed. Life hadn't magically fixed itself. There was no sudden forgiveness. No grand reconciliation. No dramatic reunion. Real life wasn't a movie. It was quieter, slower, more painful, more gentle, more honest. That was its beauty. A new studio. My photography business didn't die after all. It simply shed its skin. the hate faded. The support returned, slowly, carefully, like people tiptoeing back into my world after watching it collapse. Strangers messaged me again, but not about drama, about art, about healing, about telling their own stories. And so I opened a small studio in town. Nothing fancy, white walls, soft lights, plants by the windows. A place where people came not just to be photographed, but to be seen, really seen. Maybe because I understood now, deeply, what it felt like to go through life invisible to the people who should have loved you most. My clients sensed that. Some cried during their sessions. Some told me secrets. Some said I made them feel understood. I didn't fix anyone. But I held space for them. And sometimes, that was enough. A letter from my father. He didn't visit often, didn't call much. He was grieving in his own quiet way. But every few months, a letter would appear in my mailbox. Always short, always handwritten, always ending with the same line. "I'm trying, kiddo." And I believed him. One day, he showed up at my studio with a small box. Inside was one of my mother's old cameras, a dusty, vintage model she'd kept in a drawer for decades. "Dad, she bought it when you were born. Said she wanted to document your childhood. But life got complicated." He placed it gently in my hands. "Dad, she should have tried harder. We both should have." I nodded, tears filling my eyes, but not the overwhelming, breaking kind. This time they were soft, warm, healing. "Me, thank you, Dad." He hugged me before leaving. A real hug, a careful one, but real. It didn't fix everything, but it fixed something. And sometimes, that something is enough to breathe again. Sabrina, we didn't speak for months. Then one evening, she showed up outside my studio, hands stuffed into her coat pockets, eyes red from crying. Her voice was small, almost like she was 12 again. "Sabrina, I don't know how to start," I nodded. "Me. Just start." She took a shaky breath. "Sabrina, I miss you, and I'm sorry. For everything I said, for everything I blamed you for. Grief made me cruel." I didn't answer immediately. The wound was still there. But wounds heal when people take responsibility, not when they pretend nothing happened. "Me, I forgive you, but it'll take time." She nodded, tears falling. "Sabrina, I know. I'm willing to wait." We talked for hours, slowly unraveling years of resentment, slowly stitching them back together in new shapes. Maybe we wouldn't be sisters the way we could have been, but we could be sisters in the way we were able. And that was enough. The photo I finally shared. On the anniversary of my mother's passing, I returned to the cliff one last time. The wind was cold. The sky was soft blue. Birds circled the waves below. I took out my camera, hers and mine. Past and present, grief and healing, mother and daughter. I opened the photo I took a year ago, the one where pain was still fresh, and for the first time, I felt strong enough to share it. No long caption, no dramatic explanation, just 3 sentences. This was me at the beginning of my healing. Grief doesn't disappear, but it softens. And sometimes, surviving is its own kind of victory. I posted it, not for attention, not for validation, but for closure, for truth, for her, for me. A final thought. People think stories end with forgiveness, or reconciliation, or perfect healing. Mine didn't. My mother died with unfinished words between us. My family fractured in ways that may never fully mend. My heart carries weight. It will always feel. But I learned something. Pain doesn't erase love, and love doesn't erase pain. They coexist, quietly, inside the human heart. I learned that being too emotional never meant I was wrong. I learned that speaking the truth costs something, but staying silent costs everything. And most importantly, I learned that even broken families leave behind pieces you can still build yourself from. Pieces that become art, pieces that become strength, pieces that become you. The studio was quiet that morning. Dust floated lazily in the sunbeams spilling through the windows, catching the light the way memories catch the heart unexpectedly, softly, painfully. I unlocked the back cabinet where I kept things that mattered too much to leave in the open. My mother's old camera, the bracelet she gave me, the letter she wrote before she died, and a small wooden box filled with fragments of my past life. I took the box to the desk, sat down, and opened it. Inside were dozens of unsent letters, some addressed to myself, some to my mother, some to the version of me I used to be. I picked up the oldest one, dated nearly 6 years ago. The paper had yellowed slightly at the edges. The handwriting was shaky, my handwriting, but younger, more fragile, more desperate. The unsent letter, age 21. Mom, I know you think I'm dramatic. I know you think I feel too much. But I look at the world, and the world looks back at me like it's alive, like it has something to say. You don't see that. You never did. I wish you would try to understand me. Even a little, just once. Love, Avery, the version of me you never meet. I folded the letter gently, my vision blurring. I hadn't realized how long I'd been calling out to her, how long I'd been trying to connect across a bridge she never noticed was broken. I put the letter aside and reached for another. The unsent letter, age 25. Mom, I'm tired of pretending I'm okay. I know you love me, but you love the wrong version of me. You love the girl who doesn't cry. You love the girl who speaks softly. You don't love the girl I am. You love the girl you imagined. I'm sorry I'm not her. Love, Avery. Tears slipped down my cheeks quietly. I didn't wipe them. Feeling wasn't a sin anymore. The unsent letter, age 2, 7, 1 year before her death. Mom, sometimes I feel like a guest in this family. A visitor who never signed the guest book. I wish you would see me, truly see me, because I'm still here, and I'm still your daughter, even when it feels like I'm not. Avery, my hands shook. I closed the box, unable to read more. It was overwhelming. The years of trying, the years of reaching out, the years of wanting to be loved the way I loved them. I whispered into the empty room. I wish you had seen me earlier, Mom, but I'm glad you tried at the end. For some strange reason, saying it out loud made it real, and I felt something loosen around my heart. The visitor who reminded me of myself. A soft knock broke the silence. When I opened the door, a teenage girl, maybe 17, stood there holding a camera. She looked nervous. Girl. Hi. Are you Avery Collins? Me. Yes. Girl. I want to learn photography. My mom hates it. Says it's a waste of time. Her voice trembled. I saw myself in her. A girl with too many emotions. A girl who felt too deeply. A girl who loved something the world didn't understand. Me. Come in. Her shoulders sagged with relief. I made her tea, showed her the lighting setup, let her hold my mother's old camera. Her eyes lit up. Girl. It feels special. Me. It is. We talked for an hour. About art, dreams, mothers, expectations, and how heavy the world can be when you feel everything. As she left, she turned back at the door. Girl, you're the only adult who didn't tell me to be less. I froze. Something inside me warmed, soft and painful at the same time. Me. Never be less. Not for anyone. She smiled and walked into the afternoon light. When the door closed, I leaned against it, tears falling again. But this time, they weren't for grief. They were for the girl I used to be, and the girls like her who still existed everywhere, and the girls who needed someone like me, the way I once needed someone like my mother. The letter I finally wrote. That night, I sat at my desk with a blank page. For the first time, I wrote a letter not filled with longing, or pain, or unspoken grief, but filled with truth. A truth matured by loss, softened by time, and illuminated by everything I survived. Mom, I still miss you. I miss the love you tried to give me, even when you didn't know how. I miss the love I tried to give you, even when you couldn't take it. We were both wounded. We both tried too late. But I forgive you. And I forgive myself. Your love wasn't perfect, but it was real. And so was mine. I hope wherever you are, you finally see me clearly. Love, Avery. I folded the letter, placed it under her bracelet, and whispered, goodbye, again, this time softer. The life I finally chose. Months later, I would stand on that same cliff, camera in hand, feeling the wind move through my hair, not broken, not healed, but living, really living, with grief that no longer suffocated me, with love that no longer hurt me, with truth that no longer punished me. Some endings aren't loud, some endings aren't violent, some endings are simply a quiet acceptance that you deserve a life that doesn't abandon you, and that sometimes the family you lose makes space for the life you choose.